everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Content. My name's John Lacey, and the thing that I've been doing over the last few weeks is actually designing some live streaming assets in DaVinci Resolve for use in OBS Studio specifically, but these are things you could probably bring into other pieces of software as well. So the big thing about this is that I am completely self-taught, so I'm making this up as I go along, and I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, and I kind of just want to make it clear that it's okay to make mistakes, and there's very little to be lost through this process of making mistakes and just having a go. So I've got my coffee, which is very important because it's Sunday morning here in Australia, but we are going out live to all the various places, so let me know in the chat where you might be watching from, and I'm just going to have a quick sip of this before we get started. And what do you know, I haven't got the right screen for my music, so let me just do that quickly. Let's try that again. And hello to Kiki Byte, who writes, hello, I have still not touched the Fusion side of things, and I am ready to absorb some of this learning. And Kiki is in the Chicago area, so great to have your company today. Hello, Saeed, drinking Moroccan mint tea in Germany. I love Moroccan mint tea. That's really, really one of my favorites. I'm always drinking coffee because I need it to be awake and alert and actually doing the things, but I do love tea as well. So that's great. Great to have your company, Saeed. I know it's very late/early for you, but great to have you here. So again, let's just recap what I've been doing. So the first week I made this, which is just my like and subscribe animation. Again, I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it was my debut in Fusion, so I was really excited about that. And then last week I made an animated banner. And this one is from my podcast, Build a Presentation Muscle, which you can learn more about over at johnlacey.com. The great thing about that was that once I had my template, it was very easy for me to repurpose that and do one for Sam's podcast, Just Getting Around, which you can learn more about over at cuteavalanche.com, and Sam's live production services as well, which you can learn about over at samproof.tv. And the great thing about that is once I had that template ready to go, it was just a matter of changing the images out, and I can literally go in and sort of replace the media. It's really, really simple, and just change the colors and different things. So for the last couple of weeks, I've really just made stuff up on the fly. This week's going to be a little bit different because I was a little bit nervous about making a stinger transition. So late last night, I actually did a bit of trial and error. So I'll show you what I'm going to build today, and then hopefully we can just recreate it together. So this is actually in OBS, and I've created this stinger animation. So if I click on the John Only scene, you'll see that my logo sort of comes in, it actually becomes inverted, and then it goes out again. And that's all I'm really trying to build today. There's all kinds of different things that you can do with stingers, but the important thing for us is that there's a little bit of transparency at the beginning and at the end, and that there's a point in the middle where we can actually switch scenes. So again, let me just go back to this one, and I'll talk to you later about how to actually add this into OBS and why I recommend you don't have it on every single scene, because that will get a little exhausting. But again, this could be, and this is the second version of OBS I'm running just for demonstration purposes, but if you have a particular scene on, you can click on that and you can go and we can have the transition. And I think that's kind of fun, and it's got my logo in there, so it's a little bit of branding that we can play with. So we'll come back to that in just a second, but let me just find DaVinci and we'll return to that screen. Okay, let's create a new project, and I will call this one logo stinger, and I'll write CC for coffee and content. And Saeed writes, I built a matte transition with Fusion a long time ago. You probably saw me using it. I probably did. And I must admit, I haven't really done much with the matte stuff just yet, but I'm curious to learn more about that. So I'm in DaVinci Resolve. I guess, first of all, just go to my project settings, There's probably a way of changing this so this just defaults to 30 because that's what I use for everything. In fact, I'm sure there would be, so I'll look that up later, although Sade may even know. But what I kind of want to do, and the thing I realized on the last few projects, is that I'd just gone straight into Fusion, and I think by default it's sort of giving me Fusion clips of 4 seconds long, which is fine, but in this case I think we want to be a little bit longer. So here I'm actually going to the edit page, and just from the effects I'm going to drag on a Fusion composition, and it looks like it's defaulted to 5 seconds, which is actually what I want. So, but the great thing about this is that I could adjust this for as long or as short as I wanted. And I must admit, the first time I tried doing this, I had a transition of 15 seconds and it was too long. So I went down to 5. And there are ways that you can actually adjust that. But with this, this Fusion composition selected, let's go down to the Fusion tab itself. And we've got our media out over here. I'll move it over here. Again, because we really care about the size of this and the transparency, I'm gonna go just to the single viewer because I don't like the other approach. I know different people do different things, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag my background down here. I'm going to drag the output to the media out in, and we've got a black rectangle. I know that's not the most exciting thing, but again, for our purposes, because we do want to preserve that transparency, let's just make sure that the color is black, and this apparently only works in black. And once it's black, you can reduce the alpha down to 0. And now we've got the checkerboard pattern, which is indicating that we've got the transparency here in the background. Okay, so I guess there's a couple of things to note about this before we continue. First of all, I've actually got my this logo, which is on my shirt. I don't know which way I'm pointing because I'm reflected, but this is the logo I created, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago at this point. And I created it in Illustrator. So I've got an SVG version. So that's the scalable vector graphic. And the thing about images on computers is they're either vector or raster. And vector images are made up of math and lines and fills. So the great thing about that is that they can scale as large as you need them to be. Whereas raster images are made up of pixels. And if you have a small image and you make it super large, you're going to see those dots quite explicitly. But the great thing about this is if I go to the Fusion menu, I can go up to import rather, and go to SVG. And I'm going to grab my logo. The thing about this is DaVinci Resolve will actually rasterize this image. And I kind of need to give it a default size. And because I kind of want to make this huge, I'm going to make it, so it's defaulted to 1000 by 1000, it's a square, but I'm actually going to make it 10,000. And the thing I will say about this is this actually slowed my computer down quite a bit, and I've got a very insanely spec'd up computer. So I don't know how well this will go for many people out there, but this is just how I approach this. The other thing I want to do, and this is something I didn't do previously, and I'm sure Saeed would have been quite disappointed that I didn't do this previously. But what I want to do is I want to start working with my transform nodes, which I didn't do last week. I did a lot of stuff with the merge node, and to be honest, for the banners especially. And to be honest, that worked fine, but it's probably not the intended approach for that. So I've got my logo here. I've got my transform. I'm going to drag the output from the transform down here, and that'll create a merge node for me. So here you can actually see that we've got this, it's 10,000 pixels, and you can see a very small part of this. But to be honest, I want to make this even larger to start with. So, and in my tests, I decided I want to make it 6 times as large. So we literally are just seeing a little bit of white from one of the letter forms. Okay, so we've got that there. What I do want to do though as well is that I kind of want to bring in a second instance of that logo. And I'm going to take a quick sip of the coffee because I'm talking too much. Okay, so let's bring in a second version of the logo because we want this one to come in, and then we want to actually use the logo almost as a mask and become the cutout section of a background. So let's just go in, let's import it again. And again, I'm going to use the same math just because it makes sense to my brain. What I do want to do, and again, I think we'll need a transition for this, transform, sorry. And I'll just bring that down here. But I also want a background. So with the transform selected, I'll hit the backgrounds. Wasn't quite what I was aiming at. So I might just, I'm going to get rid of this merge. And I want to bring the backgrounds down here. And I will merge it into this here. I'm not sure if I'm doing that right. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm doing that wrong. So bear with me and we'll see if we can figure out what this was. But essentially, and maybe I'm doing this in the wrong order. What we might even do, I'm going to cheat a little bit because obviously I have done a version of this previously. So if I go open recent projects and we'll go logos 2. So I had the second logo, I had the transform, I had the background, and then I had the merge. Okay. All right, let's just try that. So logo singer CC. All right. This, I mean, in some ways, this is kind of what I want, but I want a new merge here, and it seems to want to merge in there as well. So look, what I'll do, let's just take that away. I'm going to drag that line and just let it go. And let's just create another merge. I have to be careful because visually that looks like it's connected, but it actually isn't. So again, this is probably not particularly elegant, but I'm just going to try it this way. So we came out of there. We're going to come in here. Going to come out of here. So that can go there, and this can come up here. All right, so let's, in fact, what we might do, let's just go to this merge, and let's just turn the blend down to 0 for a second. Okay, cool. So this is actually what we're seeing in the background. So this is actually, this is the second instance of the logo, and in fact, if I go to the transform, and if I make this 0.2, that's essentially what we're looking at. But what I kind of want to do is I want to cut that out of the black shape rather than the other way around. So if I go to the settings here, I can go apply mask inverted. Although I think I need to do that in the background, not the transform. So just bear with me. There we go. Brilliant. So essentially we will be able to see through this at this point in time. But I'm going to go back to the transform, go back to my controls. And what I kind of want to do, and let's just make sure we turn the blend back on this so I know what I'm doing. I guess this is the point at which a lot of people would have this dual view and you'd actually have different things here. But I just like working with the single view. I don't know, maybe it's just weird of me. But essentially what I want to do, I want to come into this point here. So about the 50 frames points. I'm going to go to my transform and I want to actually click on the size to make it to make that property something I can actually transform with a keyframe, and I will go 0.2. And we can actually see that that is there, and it's actually on top of the other shape, so just keep that in mind for a second. But essentially, if I go back to the beginning, let's go back and make the size of this 6. And now if I play through this, you will see that that comes down and goes on top like that. So kind of what we want to do is we want to actually take the other transform. In fact, it's probably the background that I want to animate at this point. So from about here, 55 frames, I want to actually come in here and I want to animate this. Although again, this I think I did this. I'm not sure if I did this on the transform or the background. In fact, let's just try it on the transform and we'll see how we go. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've got any comments, throw them in the chat because I am monitoring that as well. But essentially, what I want to do is I kind of want to make this first, this white logo go away at this point. And I'll show you how we can do that in a second. But from this point onwards, I kind of want to, I just want to animate this so it actually gets, it gets larger. So from here, and I have the weirdest feeling I may have done this actually on the merge rather than the transform. But I could do it, I'm sure I can do it on the transform. So let's try and do it on the transform. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But essentially that's that 0.25 2-point size. And Kiki saying thanks for the reminder. And again, I can press the other button to like and subscribe. Although it's a little hard to see on the background of what I'm currently doing, but there's another option to do that. But essentially, okay, let's just try this. And again, I'm just trying to remember what I did last night. So from here, let's actually come in, and this is the point at which they're both sort of 0.2, which is essentially so you can see the entire logo in the frame. From about here onwards, I think let's turn on the animation. And basically what I want to do at the very last keyframe is I want this to go back to 6 times as large. So let's try that. Okay, so I don't think okay. I don't think this is where I want to be doing this. Oh no, actually, no, that's right. That's right. It's just because that's different. So essentially what will happen, and again, you'll have to use your imagination a little bit because I haven't turned off the visibility of the first logo, but I'll show you how to get there. So we go play, the white logo comes in, and then we'll turn off the white logo, and the black logo, the sort of inverted mask, if you like, will go out. So essentially that's what we want to do. And the thing about this, and because I'm so new to this, I don't really know what I'm doing, but the thing that caught my attention was that I actually, if I click on the background, there's this really beautiful setting up here called global in and out. And you can actually tell this background where it can sort of be shown within this timeline, if you like. And again, because this is Fusion, there's, you know, we can animate these properties, but if you want something to start and stop at specific places, we kind of need something like this. But as far as I can tell, out of all the things in my composition, the only one that actually does this for me here is this background. Hello, Ernesto. Ernesto writes, "Hi, John. I have DaVinci Resolve, but I'm new to this editing software." I'm very new to it myself, and again, I'm only really focusing on the Fusion tab of it, but it's been on my to-do list to learn this for a couple of years. So I thought, hey, in the interest of making myself a little bit more accountable, let's do it live and let's just drink some coffee. I know it's probably late in other parts of the world, but it's Sunday morning here, so I need that to keep going. But essentially, I thought it'd be really fun to do this. So. And just to recap a little bit, we've got these 2 instances of this logo. This one will come in, then we'll get it to disappear, and then the inverted one will go out. So what we want to do though is once we've sort of done with this logo, we kind of want it to go away, like the white version of this. So we can do that actually in the keyframes section over here. So if I click on this, this is actually where a lot of the magic happens. So these are the frames, and they're all doing their thing at the moment. So what I probably need to make a note of though is what these are actually called. So in this case, transform. All right, so I'm actually going to rename this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go, if I can, rename, which is F2, and I'll say white logo And I'll rename this one and call it inverted logo. I'm sure this is right in front of my face and I can't see it, but okay, cool. So let's go back to our keyframes. This should make it a little bit more obvious as to which is which. So most of the magic happens at this 50, 55 mark line. So about here, let's go to 55. This is kind of where I want the inverted logo to shine. So I'm going to actually just drag in this section. In fact, I think maybe for the inverted logo it needs 50, but for the white logo, I think 55 is probably the way to go. So let's go back to the beginning and we'll just see what this looks like. So if I go play, the white logo is coming in. Okay, we're still seeing that. So I've clearly picked the wrong sources here. So maybe it's the transform rather than the logo, which would probably make sense really if I think about it. So let's just bring that back. All right, and again, just in the interests of me knowing what I'm talking about here, I'm gonna actually come in, so transform 1, transform 2, and I'm gonna rename this again. I'm just gonna go F2 because I can never find that in the menu. So we'll say white logo merge. In fact, I'll go merge white logo, that'll do. And then I will do the same thing over here. So I'll go merge inverted logo. And Ernesto is saying anytime is coffee time. I totally agree. Although at some points I do need to be a little bit careful that I'm not keeping myself up all night long. And Kiki writes, agreed with the coffee time. Yes, we do love our coffee around here. All right, so if I go back into my keyframes, and let's just try this with the merge. Again, if all else fails, I can go back to the version that I've already created and we can reverse engineer that. But so if we go to the merge for the inverted, I kind of think I want that to come in around here, the 50 mark. And actually, I think I just confused myself by dragging in the wrong point of that. So essentially, if I'm on, in fact, let's do it here because it'll be more obvious. The white logo, we kind of want to bring that back the other way. So if I bring this over here, there we go. You know, I don't think that's actually how I did it last time. I think I actually did it on the logos, but in the last example, possibly because I haven't had enough coffee, I dragged them both in the same direction. So now, if we hit play, we'll see, okay. All right, I've stuffed that up again. So what have I done? All right, let's bring that back. Oh. Okay. Let's just go with the inverted logo. So I know I want to bring the inverted logo in at the, in fact, we'll do it up here because it's easier. I want to bring the inverted logo in at the 50 mark. And we kind of want to make the white logo disappear from about the 55. I think that's what I'm trying to achieve here. So if I go play, no. All right, so I'm... Oh dear, I thought it would be easier for me to do this last night and actually come back to it. But what we will do, let's go back to the earlier version because it'll tell me what I need to know because I've already forgotten. All right, let's load this version. Okay, so here, okay, I've done it with the merges. So, I mean, I've done it with the merge and the background. Okay, let's go back and do that then. So open recent project, the Stinger CC version. So the backgrounds, which is this one here. So if I, yeah. All right, so the backgrounds, let's come in at about 50. And they're all coming in together, which is interesting, but that's okay. All right, so the white logo, we kind of want it to go away from about 55, I believe. So if I go, and it was on the merge as far as I can remember. So let's just go back here. All right, I think that might work. Let's give that a go. So hit play. Okay, no. All right, I don't know what's going on, folks, and maybe I'm just under-caffeinated. So the background 16, which is definitely our black shape. And I mean, it's connected with the inverted. In fact, I'm just gonna cheat a little bit because this is not how I did it last time. But if I went to the background node, because that is one of the things that actually has this global in and out, I kind of know that I want this to come in at the 50 point. So I could literally just type in the number 50 here. And that'll probably help in that regard. So now we don't see the black shape. I've definitely stuffed something up here. Let's go back to our keyframes. Okay. All right. So that's the backgrounds. All right. So the black shape's fine. What I am concerned about is that we're not seeing the white anymore. So what have I done there? So the merge for the white. The blend is okay. Isn't it great doing this in real time where you can watch me fail so spectacularly? Let's have some more coffee. So we've got the mode here, size is 1. So the transform here is 6, which is kind of what we wanted. Although I don't know why I'm not seeing it. So the blend is still fine. That's good. So the white logo itself. It looks like I've made that transparent somewhere along the line. I don't know why, but let's make that white. Oh, that's the background of the white logo. Okay, in that case, let's make it back to transparent. Okay, so I just don't for the life of me. So here everything starts. So merge inverted, meteor out 1. Okay, that's a problem. Why we want the meteor out to always be there. So I may have had something selected. That may be the problem. Because at the moment, we're not seeing any of this stuff, but I'm not really sure how I can... All right, let's bring this back. So for whatever reason, those things are tied. There we go. All right, so the white logo, we can see it now. So the merged white logo, kind of want that to come in and stay there. Brilliant. So there's a really good chance that I just had a few things selected that I shouldn't have had selected at the same time. So let's just, let's go. So about the 50 mark. But again, I'm not sure. Do I have something selected that I shouldn't have selected? Because the last time I did this, I did not get those done. And again, let's see if we can cheat a little bit and just say 55 for this, well, 50 probably for this background. But again, why is it affecting? All right, let's undo that. Can I lock the meteor out? I don't want the meteor out to be affected at all. I don't know why it's even in this list. This one only. Wow, that's so irritating. I have no idea why that happened, because it didn't happen the first 2 times that I've attempted to do this project. So why is it connected? And again, there's probably, if we go back to the nodes, there's probably a reason. And let's just see if we can suss out what that reason is. So we go from the inverted logo to the transform, which is really just adjusting the size, to the background, which is in the inverted mask. And then we have this over here. So the thing that is interesting is that this one goes, this merge white logo is a green one that goes, yeah. So all of these have been, all right. I don't know what the deal is with that, but let's get rid of it. Let's bring in here. I think that I think that might have been it. Let's go back to our keyframes and just see if we can suss this out now. In fact, let's just bring back all these animations. So everything is the same, and we'll see what this looks like at the moment. So we'll go back to the beginning. All right, so for argument's sake, let's go to our 50 points. Probably where we want this to come in. Let's go to our backgrounds. Actually, I'm doing these back to front. This should start at 0, and this should sort of go away at about 50, 55. And then the black backgrounds should really only come in about, I don't know, 50, 55. Let's say 50. We can adjust this in a second. So that comes in, and then they switch over. Okay, brilliant. So just to give you a sense of how maddening Fusion can be, and again, Saeed actually told me this. He's like, go and learn how these connections actually work. And I stuffed it up. So essentially, we want the output of the background to go into the foreground of the merge. And then we want this one to go in the background. So those colored lines actually have some real life implications. So just keep that in mind as you're ripping your hair out and watching a million tutorial videos. The other thing I will do though is let's go into our keyframes. Again, oh, actually not our keyframes, our spline. So what we'll do, let's grab our transform, our 2 transforms. Let's hit this little button to sort of zoom in to fit. I'm going to go Control A. I don't know if that's going to work. Let me try it like this. Yep, cool. And I'm going to hit the S key on the keyboard just to make these curves rather than sort of just definitive lines. And the thing I can do now, so if we just play this, and again, just go back to the beginning so we know where we are. Hit play, they come in, they switch over, and they go out again. So potentially what I could do is I could actually grab the handle of this and make this sort of steeper, make it faster. And then I could, you know, if we see what that looks like now, we can go and then out again. And I guess what I'm wondering is if I can, I don't know, can I copy? I don't think I can, evidently. There's probably a way. I kind of want to do this by math and actually get the linear, the transition style. But again, for today's purposes, let's not worry about it too much. And in fact, I'm okay with that the way it is. So what we will do, let's actually export this. And I guess the other thing too, which I won't do today, but I just want to mention, is you can actually include some audio underneath this as well. So it could be that you have a transition sound, a whoosh, or a sound effect that we could include as part of this, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm literally going to go to our Deliver tab, which is this little rocket ship down here. Again, there are a lot of different formats here. I can't guarantee that I will be choosing the best one here, but what I've been doing is I just go to uncompressed QuickTime, which admittedly is a very large file, but I'm going to show you what we can do about that in a second. And from the type, I'm actually using this BGRA 8-bit. And I want to make sure that I export the alpha because that's the thing that's going to give us our transparency. So I can say logo stinger CC as the file name. I'm going to go and browse and shove this somewhere useful that I can find to bring into OBS in just a second. Okay, and once I've done that, I can go and add this to the render queue. And then over in the render queue, it's, yeah, just behind my, actually a little bit above my head. Shouldn't it be at 30 frames per second? Probably. It should be, yes. Okay, thank you. That's well spotted, Saeed. I appreciate that. All right, so I've got this here. In fact, I don't know, maybe I'll get rid of that because I didn't have that 30 frames per second and I'll add that to the queue again. And now we will go render all. Okay, and it's been rendered. So the big thing about this is these files are actually quite large, like comically large, because that's a 5-second animation. And let me just bring it up and show you what this looks like. Show more options, properties. And weirdly, they all seem to be 1.15 gigabytes for 4 or 5 seconds worth of footage, which is insane. And again, my computer can probably handle that, but if you had a slower or older computer, you don't want that heavy lifting. So what we are going to do is we're going to open up a little thing called Shutter Encoder. This is a free piece of software. I believe it's available for Windows and Mac. And it'll just convert videos for you, and it can do a lot of really cool stuff. But I'm going to drag and drop my file in here. And I'm going to choose the function, which is VP9. And again, shout out to Saeed for showing me that one. And what I really need to do is I need to go over here into the advanced features, and I need to click on Enable Alpha Channel. And I can sort of adjust where this goes, but at the moment, it's just going to go to the destination, the same place as it arrives, and it's going to have an underscore VP92 on the end of it. And once that's there, I can literally just come up here and go Start Function. And it even has an exciting sound effect, which you probably can't hear because I haven't set up OBS in that way, but that is essentially done. And let me just show you the difference in file size because this is kind of an important step. So this creates a WebM file, which OBS has no problems with, but it is literally 1.08 megabytes now, which is so tiny compared to our original QuickTime movie. And we literally don't need all that extra stuff. So let's go back and just minimize this. So I'm in OBS. What I'm going to do, because I actually set this up earlier, I'm going to go in and delete it. And I'm going to show you, take you through the steps of this. So this is the scenes transition dock. And if you don't see this one, go up to the docks and just make sure you've got that turned on. With the OBS Studio docks, you can literally grab and move these around wherever you like. This is probably one you won't want to play with a lot. Like once you get a few things set up, you probably won't need it all the time. So you can probably even hide it underneath another dock once you get started. But essentially, if you go down to this plus sign, which admittedly is right behind my head. So maybe for our purposes today, I'll move this one over here so you can see it a little bit better. So I'll go to add a new transition. It'll ask me what type of transition I want. And in this case, I want a stinger. And I can give this a name, and I'll call this one Logo Stinger. Again, doesn't matter what these things are called as long as you remember what they're called and they're meaningful names for you. We'll go okay. I've got to go and find my video file, which is in my documents, Stinger, and it's this WebM version here. All right, so you can potentially use hardware encoding when available. That's fine. What I kind of want to do though is, and we've got the transition point time. So essentially, this is the point at which you'll actually move from scene A to scene B. And you can do this in time, or you can do this by frame. So if I go back to DaVinci, and if I go back into Fusion, it's probably even better. We can actually see, and I'm sure it's 50-50 or 55. So I might even do it around the 50 point, and I can change it to frames and go 50. So at the 50 point, we can do it like that. And there is a track matte option. Again, Said will know a lot more about that than I probably do. There are audio options here as well. So you know, if we did have audio in our different scenes, maybe a crossfade would be a good idea. And again, if we had some music or some sound effects on this, it may be useful for you to hear them as well, in which case you'd go monitor and output, just so you get a sense of what that is like. And I can actually go preview transition, and it'll show me what this looks like, and you'll see the point at which we actually moved from scene to scene. So the thing about this now, though, is that whenever I click on any of these scenes, it will go and do my logo stinger, and that's going to get very old very, very quickly. So what I recommend we do instead is let's just stick to a basic fade, and let's just say that maybe when we go to the John only scene, that's when I want to actually bring this in. So we don't need to have this on everyone, but if we right click on this particular scene, there's actually what we call a transition override. So we can actually come to our logo stinger. And now if I go to any of these other scenes, it'll just be the fade, which I think is really nice. And it's honestly one of my favorite things about OBS Studio is just that I can have that fade because it's so elegant. But now if I go from the fade to John only, we can see that happening, and we can sort of see the point at which that changes. And if I do want to go back into my settings, I can do that from here and go to properties. And maybe I want this to actually transition at the 55 point instead. So I'll do that. Again, let's just make sure we go back to fade as our default. And I'll go to the bush scene, and then I can click on John only. And there we go. We've got our little transition ready to go. So except for me kind of stuffing up my nodes entry and exit points, I think that hopefully made sense. So the great thing about this too is like I think these embellishments can be really fun. I think they can be stylistically really interesting, but you don't want them on every single scene. And it could be that maybe, you know, you maybe use that when you come back from a break or you go to a particular different scene. And I guess the great thing about OBS is we can literally right click and we can duplicate a scene. And I could say like John only, no stinger. And then I can just go into the transition overrides, and I'm just going to say none. So if I wanted to go from bush 1, and again, obviously this is just a static image of me because my camera is already used in another version of OBS, but this is probably the scene where you've got that. So you could go, okay, I want to return back to me, but I just want to have me. I don't want any embellishment. And then maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 points during your stream, you might want to be like, I want a little bit of embellishment. Let's click on this one. And that's where the magic will sort of happen. And you can adjust the point at which that switches over. So that's an example. And to be really honest with you, that's something I've had stuck in my head for several years, that particular transition, that stinger. And I've tried to create it in a whole bunch of different pieces of software, and I've never been able to, but I was able to do that in DaVinci. So I'm really loving DaVinci Resolve right now. And again, I'm only really using the Fusion tab right now, but I dabbled with it a little bit to make a short clip from one of the live streams previously. So I think that was really, really fun. So I actually don't really have another scene to show you this here. I'm actually not that prepared. But essentially, you could see that in that version that I just shared. So let's just recap what we've done so far. So the first week we did like and subscribe animation. And again, if you want to see how these were created, you can go back into the Learn Live Streaming YouTube channel. And then I made this animated banner for Build a Presentation Muscle, which you can learn more about over at johnlacey.com. And in some ways, you know, that's just a bunch of images with some animation. But the really powerful thing is that we preserve that transparent background. So it's not just a solid block. If I press that button again, you will see that my head sort of pops out beyond that boundary. And I love the layering of that. I think that's really cool. And again, with that same template, I was just able to change the graphics and the colors. And I created this one for cuteavalanche.com, Sam's podcast just getting around, and the one for sandproof.tv as well. So the great thing about this is once you learn a few basics... Okay, so Saeed has some feedback. Let me press that button again. So like and subscribe. Okay, I can see what you're saying. So the and actually comes in from the right a little bit quicker than the like. So fair enough. Again, it was my first attempt. I can revisit that. We can try that again at some point. But again, I think like Fusion can seem really daunting. And look, I put this off for years, so I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, but the more I play, the more I learn, and the more that I'm able to sort of share this in real time, it sort of makes me a little bit accountable. So I really like this. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a point in the near future where I'm going to run out of things that I actually need to design, and maybe we will do other activities during this time slot, which is fine, but I have really enjoyed hanging out with you guys, drinking the coffee and playing with the software and doing all of the things. So, you know, I'm curious, and you don't have to, like nobody has to use Fusion. Nobody has to use DaVinci Resolve, but I'm kind of curious what you guys are working on. Maybe you can let me know in the chat. I'm going to hit a button and have some more coffee. And Kiki writes, thank you, and don't worry about me. I'm in the back of the room eating the paste right now, just playing with the Fusion stuff while listening. Okay. I'm not sure if that's a typo or if that's just an expression I'm not familiar with. Said writes, there are some great short tutorials. You can basically follow the steps, just use your own images and some slight adjustments. And I think that's good, but I guess what's been really interesting for me is that when I struggle a little bit, when I go looking for things, I don't know, I feel like I own it a little bit more. And Said says he's going to update his track matte transition soon, so I'd be really interested to see that one. In fact, yeah, that'd be really cool. So again, like, the thing I tell people about OBS generally is it can do so many things. And the truth is, you probably need 2 to 5% of what it's capable of to run a good show or a podcast or whatever you want to do. Kiki writes, that's a silly expression, the kid in school that eats the glue. Yes, that's like Ralph Wiggum in The Simpsons. Exactly. Okay, I can appreciate that one. Awesome. So again, I'm really curious to see what you guys are up to in terms of your content creation. If you want to let me know in the chat, that would be great. And if there are things that you'd like us to have a look at in future, I'd love that feedback as well. But thank you for being here. This is a format I started years ago, and when I was first finding my feet, and I would go live every week, and like nobody would show up, and it was character building, and I think it was important for my development as an online presenter, but it's so much more fun when you guys come here and actually watch me try and fail and try and succeed and just have some fun and drink the coffee together. So it's been really, really awesome. We're probably not going to fill the entire hour today. I'll probably let you get back to all those wonderful things you're doing. Just make sure that the paste is non-toxic. And Kiki writes, learning all about the editing, still just using the basics. And I guess that's the thing. The what Sam Proof and Sam is the co-host of my video and live streaming show, which happens roughly the same time, sort of 24 hours earlier than this one, is we had been recommending CapCut to a lot of people, and it's a great product. But more and more, a lot of those free features are becoming paid features. And DaVinci Resolve is free. It can be a little bit resource intensive, so you probably need a newer computer to use all of the things. But I must admit, like the edits and the cuts tabs, like they're very basic. Well, I say basic. They're very what is the word I'm looking for? I don't even know right now. Like they're not that scary, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like if you've edited in anything else, it's not dramatically different. So it can be really cool. And I'm someone who's used Camtasia for years and years and years, and it does do things in terms of screen capture, which can be quite useful. But there are a whole bunch of things in there that are very dated, and they're very for a specific type of video creator. And I think it's kind of a school teacher, essentially. And I feel like I'm beginning to outgrow that. So I love the fact that the DaVinci Resolve is available, and there is a free version, there is a paid version. I'm looking for literally any excuse to buy the speed editor, which is a piece of hardware that'll speed up your processes. Said writes, I'm looking forward to time travel in about 90 minutes. Okay. So you're doing the daylight savings thing as well. It's all happening all over the world. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Okay. Well, have a great weekend, everybody. I'll try and schedule another one of these shortly, and we'll come back and build something else. I'm not really sure too much, what it will be just yet, but we can figure it out together. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. Kiki writes, laptop CPU and GPU Ryzen 5800U doing just fine so far with 1080 output. Yeah, okay, that's good to know. I've got a new laptop, and one of the first things I downloaded was OBS and then DaVinci, so I haven't actually played with DaVinci on the laptop yet. And to be honest, it's a reasonably spec'd out computer. It's not quite at the level of my desktop computer, but it's not an old computer by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm sure it'll do quite well. But I kind of need to go and actually record some footage so that I can edit, because I just do everything live these days, but I guess I can repurpose some of these things as well. All right, so have a great weekend. And again, I'll talk to you soon. You can head out to, you can always check out johnlacey.com if you're looking for more content. There are social links at the bottom of all those pages. Come find me on YouTube at Learn Live Streaming, or LinkedIn is the other place I like to hang out and create content. I've got the Learn Live Streaming newsletter over there. And don't forget to like and subscribe, subscribe if you're Saeed. I feel like I might have known that, Saeed. So Saeed writes, you know that you have a dual monitor mode in DaVinci. I do. I do now. I don't know if I knew it 5 minutes ago. Hello to Business Growth Ready, who says cheers, all working in the background. I guess getting back to Saeed's point, because I'm sharing a screen as part of the live, I don't really want to split this up over different screens, but it could be quite useful if I'm just editing by myself. Yes, Kiki, have a great one too. So take care, everybody. I'll talk to you again very, very soon. But yes, look after yourselves and have fun creating content.